Hello and welcome to the fourth episode in the Tekken School series. Today we're going to talk about a very important idea in Tekken specifically, but in fighting games in general, and it's the ideas of frames and turns. And basically, what does it mean? When is it my turn or when is it my opponent's turn? So you may have heard the idea of frames or the term frames used in animation or film or in other games, like things running at 60 frames per second, meaning there are 60 frames in 1 second. When fighting game players talk about frames, they generally are using it as a measurement tool like everybody else, and they're basically trying to say how long till something happens. Let's say I press my one button, right, my left punch. If I want to say this attack has 10 frames of startup, okay, I'm basically saying it takes 10 frames from the moment I pressed one till my attack becomes active. Okay? Now, these kind of frames are used to measure how long an attack takes to come out, how long is it active, and how long does it take to recover. But also, they are used to describe the situation after the interaction happens. So let's say my opponent blocks my jab. Both of us need to recover from the situation, him from blocking and me from throwing out the jab. The game tells you how plus or minus on block things are. Being plus or minus on block basically means who becomes actionable first or who recover first from the animation. So who has the frame advantage by recovering first. To make this example clear, each jab in the game usually starts at 10 frames. Both Feng and Kazuya's jabs are starting at 10 frames. When I press my one jab, right now the computer is mimicking me and we're both pressing the one jab. We are trading because we're using an attack that starts at the same time. Therefore, it's just a trade. But what happens when I am +6 after this move, for example, right? Now my jab wins because I recover first and I'm actionable 6 frames faster than my opponent, leading to my 10 frame jab beating his 10 frame jab. So that's the ideas of frames and how we use them to determine whose turn it is. Moves can be plus or minus and can also be 0 on block technically. And using these kind of moves, we determine whether it's my turn or the opponent's turn. For example, after using a launcher, generally speaking, you'll be minus. But while using this kind of slow move that has other counterplay, you'll usually be left plus. Now, these of course are not universal. There are always, extraordinary moves that don't operate like everything else. But generally speaking, this is a good rule of thumb to kind of remember. Now, what are turns? Generally speaking, turns is when your opponent is in a dominant position or is plus and is in less danger to press like bigger or slower buttons. And to the other side, when it's your opponent's turn, your options of what you can do or press are limited, or maybe it's even better if you just block because it's dangerous to do anything else. So that's the ideas of turns, kind of how you play the fighting game and exchange turns between you and your opponent. They will do something, and if you successfully block it, it will be your turn, and vice versa. Tekken is very much about fluidly moving between one turn to another, and being able to understand this idea I think can go a long way in your gameplay. With that said, your homework for today is still continue enjoying Tekken, but during your games, try to understand when your opponent's turn is happening and when your turn is happening. And more so, try to understand when you should be taking advantage of a very slow button from your opponent in order to take your turn. Remember, just because your opponent is plus doesn't mean you can't do anything. In Tekken, there's always options to counter your opponent's options that they want to present. So it could be that they are very plus, but you could still counter them with a very fast move. Or maybe they are not that plus and they want to represent a very slow move, and you can counter them with a move of your own. So always consider the different options. The next episode will cover the types of basic attacks in Tekken, so look forward to that. See you in the next one. Bye bye.